How Trump's resurgence could affect the global order. As Donald Trump assumed the office as the 47th President of the United States, the world braces for a seismic shift in global politics. His second term, backed by a stronger electoral mandate and full Republican control of both chambers of Congress and the Supreme Court, is poised to challenge the fragile framework of the so-called rules-based international order. His unpredictable and transactional approach to both domestic and foreign policy suggests that the U.S. global role could be radically redefined, with profound consequences for geopolitics. First, Trump's return to power is unlike his first term. He steps into the Oval Office now with fewer constraints. Republican dominance in Congress and a conservative Supreme Court majority effectively give him an open field to enact his agenda. On the other hand, Trump's hardline rhetoric and actions signal that he will govern with an iron fist. His renewed pledge to implement aggressive immigration policies foreshadows a crackdown on undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers. His appointed border chief has already hinted at mass deportations, even involving naturalized citizens. The high-tech sector also stands at a crossroads. Trump's protectionist trade policies, including a proposed 25% levy on Canadian and Mexican imports and punitive measures against China, threaten to ignite trade wars. While such policies may appeal to nationalist sentiments, they risk crippling supply chains and driving up consumer prices. Even Trump's behind-the-scenes advisor, Elon Musk, has warned that the U.S. economic future depends on attracting skilled labor, a policy area seemingly at odds with Trump's restrictive immigration stance. Perhaps the most telling indicator of Trump's global stance will be his treatment of international institutions. His disdain for multilateral organizations like the United Nations is well documented. During his first term, Trump withdrew from the Paris Agreement and the World Health Organization, signaling his disregard for collective global action. How Trump's economic policies will impact South Asia. This time, Trump may go further. If the UN condemns US or Israeli actions, Trump could threaten to slash funding or even withdraw from the organization altogether. His administration is likely to disregard international law when it clashes with US interests. Ironically, Trump's blatant dismissal of global norms might expose the hypocrisy of a system that enforces international law selectively, harshly penalizing adversaries while excusing allies. Foreign policy, isolationism or neo-imperialism. In foreign policy, Trump's intentions are murkier but no less concerning. His approach to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war will be a litmus test for his broader global strategy. During his first term, Trump dismissed the conflict as irrelevant to U.S. interests. Now, he may attempt to position himself as a peacemaker by engaging Russian President Vladimir Putin in back-channel diplomacy. However, such a move could fracture NATO and undermine the Atlantic alliance that has underpinned Western security since World War II. Biden's strategy of militarily containing Russia has left Ukraine devastated and Europe on edge. Trump's potential pivot toward conciliation with Russia could force European allies to reconsider their security postures. Yet, this rapprochement might also embolden Moscow, accelerating the erosion of the post-Cold War order. The US could face a painful choice: accept strategic setbacks or escalate forcefully to reassert dominance. In the Middle East, Trump's policies are expected to be even more aggressive than during his first term. His unwavering support for Israel is likely to deepen, potentially encouraging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to pursue further annexation of the occupied West Bank and continue military aggression in Gaza. Trump's disregard for Palestinian rights, coupled with his administration's readiness to recognize illegal settlements, could permanently extinguish hopes for a two-state solution. The possibility of Trump launching strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities or pushing for regime change in Tehran raises the specter of a wider regional conflict. His maximum pressure campaign, marked by the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani during the first Trump administration, failed to curb Iran's influence. Still, Trump appears undeterred and may double down on the confrontational strategy. Such actions could inflame anti-American sentiment, destabilize the Gulf region and strain relationships with traditional allies like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Trump 2.0 in the future of Bangladesh-US defense relations. Trump's relationship with Gulf monarchies, particularly Saudi Arabia and the UAE, will likely be in the spotlight. His first foreign trip as president in his first term was to Riyadh, underscoring the strategic importance he places on these alliances. But Gulf nations have been diversifying their alliances, deepening ties with China and even engaging diplomatically with Iran. Saudi Arabia's growing relationship with Beijing, joining BRICS and partnering in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, poses a potential conflict with Trump's America First agenda. Will Trump pressure Gulf states to sever ties with China, risking economic fallout? Or will he tolerate these relationships to maintain regional stability? The Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab states, could also expand under Trump. Saudi Arabia remains hesitant to formally recognize Israel without progress on Palestinian statehood. Israel's intransigence makes such normalization unlikely, potentially stalling Trump's ambitions for deeper Israeli-Arab integration. Trump's second term could take the US down one of two distinct paths. A return to isolationism would accelerate the decline of US global dominance, creating space for a multipolar world led by rising powers like China. Alternatively, Trump might adopt a neo-imperialist model, blending nationalist rhetoric with aggressive military and economic strategies. This approach could drag the US into more direct confrontations, resembling the Cold War but with more fragmented battle lines. Unlike the 20th century, today's geopolitical tensions are not centered in Europe. While Trump may focus on Russia, Ukraine and Middle Eastern conflicts, South Asia might remain relatively untouched, at least during the early years of his presidency. This selective engagement could leave critical regions vulnerable to Chinese and Russian influence. On the other hand, Trump's authoritarian tendencies, evident during his first term, are likely to intensify. His admiration for strongmen like Vladimir Putin, Narendra Modi, Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un reveals his comfort with autocratic governance. Trump has openly mused about having dictatorial powers, raising concerns about democratic backsliding in the US. Trump's second presidency is set to redefine global politics in unpredictable ways. His leadership could either bolster the US, waning dominance or accelerate its decline. Trump's actions could reshape alliances, provoke conflicts, and challenge the very foundations of the global system as we know it now. While a lot remains to be seen, one thing is for certain, the world is entering uncharted territory. And with Trump at the helm, the journey ahead will be anything but predictable. FD's cautions offer guidance to Trump critics today. And this is apt, since many of the long-held American principles, from trade to international relations, that the 47th president is seeking to dismantle stem from the foundations of the modern, US-led global order laid down by the 32nd president. Trump's second term, a revolution in American politics and global policy. Context: Donald Trump's second term as US president is shaping up as a transformative period, aimed at redefining America's domestic and international policies. Referred to by Trump as a revolution of common sense, this movement challenges entrenched liberal hegemony and seeks to overhaul the post-war order in social, political, economic, and geopolitical domains. Roots of discontent: the American public's growing dissatisfaction with liberal values and policies paved the way for Trump's victory in 2016, defeating established political figures like the Clintons and Bushes. Challenges during the first term: Trump faced resistance from the establishment and liberal media, including accusations of being a Russian agent. This hindered his agenda, culminating in a loss in the 2020 elections. Rebound in 2024: Trump's supporters perceived the legal challenges against him as a political witch hunt, rallying around his narrative of challenging the establishment. The pillars of Trump's revolution: social and cultural realignment, critique of liberal values. Trump opposes liberal stances on gender identity, diversity regulations, and global human rights advocacy. Focus on traditional values: his agenda includes restoring free speech, promoting traditional civic values, and reversing identity-based politics. Border control: Trump's policies emphasize U.S. territorial sovereignty and strict immigration controls, contrasting sharply with liberal stances on open borders. Global implications: reintroducing sovereignty as a central theme could influence international political discourse. Economic restructuring: trade policies: Trump aims to recalibrate global trade in favor of fair trade and reciprocity, signaling a departure from the liberal emphasis on free trade. Tariff strategy. Though not detailed in his inaugural speech, Trump has initiated reviews to implement targeted tariffs. Rethinking U.S. global leadership. America First doctrine. Trump prioritizes domestic interests over maintaining global leadership and engaging in foreign conflicts. Relations with major powers. Advocating for peace, Trump seeks balanced relations with Russia and China, diverging from the liberal internationalist approach. Domestic and global implications of Trump's revolution. Domestic arena. Polarization. Trump's pardoning of January 6 protesters contrasts with Biden's actions, highlighting deep societal divides. Coalition building. Success depends on uniting disparate conservative factions and addressing contradictions within his movement. Global order. Impact on geopolitics. Trump's reluctance to uphold the liberal international order could reshape dynamics in Eurasia and the Indo-Pacific. Trump's second term represents a bold attempt to redefine America's domestic policies and international role. While his movement faces significant internal and external resistance, its success could mark a departure from the liberal post-war order, creating a lasting impact on American society and the global system.